Hey everybody, welcome to week 5 of the summer series, our Live Into video. We got our coffee, we got each other, and we're ready to chat about week 5 and some of our biggest takeaways and how we can live into everything that we learned from Stephanie as we talked about our favorite topic,
friendship. It was so good. I love talking about friendship. It's just I know we mentioned this a couple other times, but I just believe it's true that friendship really is like one of God's biggest gifts to us. Mm-hmm. I think friends are the ones that can be our biggest cheerleaders, supporters, encouragers. We have so much potential to speak into each other's lives and be a really big influence. So anyways, I want to know what you thought Stephanie's best thing was. What was your biggest takeaway?
Well, I think a couple of things. Number one, I love just the reminder that friendship takes time, and that we're not all gonna find our best friends overnight. And for a lot of us, as we go to college, everybody tells you there's this kind of narrative out there that you find your bridesmaids the first week of college, and then it's your besties all the way through. And for most people, that's just not the case. And so, kind of this reminder that friendship can be difficult for everybody and takes a lot of time and intentionality. Yeah. And then number 2, I love the markers she kind of threw out there for us to mark what a Christ-centered friendship looks like. Yeah. This idea of vulnerability, how you have to be real in your friendships. They have to really see you for who you are. Yeah. In order for true Christ-centered friendship to happen. Because when we do that, that creates the second thing, which is safety. Friendships that I know whatever I tell you is safe with you. That I know that it's never gonna change the way that you think about each other or anything like that. I just got a text message.
I know.
And then number
popular, probably a friend.
So popular. Yeah, she's my friends. And then number 3, I think that it's the third thing that she said is that Christ and her friends always point each other back to Jesus. Yeah. So when you're vulnerable about the hard stuff and that safety is created, you're then safe to be able to say hey, what does the Lord say about this? How can you take this to the Lord? I think that's such a beautiful picture of Christ and her friendship. So I loved that.
Yeah, I like that. I was really convicted listening, in the sense of I feel oftentimes my friendships don't look that much different than people in my lives who don't know Jesus and their friendships. And it just should. Christ-centered friendships should look so different from the friendships you see on TV or the ones you see in people's lives that aren't following Jesus. We should be the ones that are just it should stand out. It should be a safe place. It should be pour a lot of life into each other. And so I think if anything, a good takeaway, a couple of takeaways, but one would just be look at your friendships. Have you centered them around Christ? Because if you have, it should look a lot different. And if you haven't, make it look different. I thought that was a really big conviction of mine.
Yeah, and look for those 3 things. I think that's such a great marker to know. Are we truly living into a Christ-centered friendship? Yeah. Or are we just treating this a normal day-to-day, everyday friendship? Yeah. I think another just huge takeaway is just this piece of kind of how Stephanie talks about vulnerability. She used this metaphor of bringing people into your dorm room and having it look perfect and pristine, and shoving all your mess into the closets and under the beds. Mm-hmm. And I think so often we do that in our lives. We enter into friendships day one and we just try to present our best, and we're too afraid to show the real and the raw. And those broken moments. But the truth is that true friendship happens in those moments. True Christ-centered friendship happens in those moments. Every single one of my real Christ-centered friendships, I can look back on and see that our friendship grew and it changed and it pivoted the moment that we went through something really difficult together.
Totally.
It's just a marker of it. And so I think we can't be afraid to show people into that mess and like bring people along and say like, yeah, this is me.
Totally. You know, I read an article recently that said like the most lonely people in today's world are people from the age of 18 to 24, which is kind of like all the people that we're speaking to right now. And I think the reason for that is because we've like filtered our lives to look so perfect, whether it's through social media or even in relationships, that we haven't ever like connected with people because of that. And I think the only way to feel like not so lonely, honestly, is to be able to just like connect with people in a vulnerable, authentic, honest way. And I need to do that more in my life for sure. I struggle a lot with that. And
I think that's so good. I love that. Live into this by looking for friends, being intentional. If you haven't found those friends yet, don't give up. Like, I love that Jen Hatmaker quote she shared about like, if you don't have friendship, go out and create it. Like, look for it, find it. Like, don't give up. Go on those coffee dates and like it'll happen for you. And then number 2, in your friendships, just don't be afraid to go through hard things together and to just keep communicating together and to show people like what's under your beds, what's in the closets. And that's where true Christ-centered friendship happens, and where God can come in and be the God that He is and show up. So I loved this week. It was so good.
New friends in your summer series groups is gonna be good.
Yes. All right, we'll talk with you next week.